It's the beginning of a new era. Ambassador, tell the frauds I'm a torchbearer. Afropolitan dreaming, they fiending for that album. New Huey Massacre, killing everything at random. We go to sleep in Tokyo and waking up in London. This is the life that we dreamt when we were grinding. They treated African rappers like, no, you don't belong here. Now we blowing up and they...
Bienvenue sur Africa 24. J'ai l'immense plaisir d'accueillir mon invité ici de passage à Paris. Si je vous dis Blitz the Ambassador, vous aurez compris qu'il s'agit de l'un des artistes afropolitains, parce que c'est comme ça qu'il faut le qualifier, qui fait les belles heures de la musique contemporaine. Natif du Ghana, aujourd'hui vivant en Amérique, il est en fait musicien et artiste du monde. Merci d'accueillir Blitz the Ambassador pour nous parler de lui et aussi de son nouvel album Afropolitan Dreams. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, merci beaucoup.
So you went to America for music. That's a different way to see the immigration.
Usually the conversation around immigrants are those who come to Europe or America for either there's a war where they're from and they come as political asylum, or they come just to work in the system. Yeah. Very few come looking for a dream. You know, that's got nothing to do with just survival. You know, what I'm talking about is thriving, and that's why it was very important for me to make this album, because it talks about another. I mean, the struggles are similar, but the process is different. Anywhere you find immigrants, they bring an enrichment to any society that they're from. The people who are from there don't usually look at it like that, though, because to them, they're just coming to take. They don't realize that a lot come to contribute as well. I mean, America is a country of immigrants. And so any greatness that America has is due to immigrants. I feel like hip-hop culture itself is part of the immigrant experience and that dream. And so that's why the album, this album felt the way it is. But it began with Native Son, of course, kind of saying what it feels like to come from home to the West, but now it's going from the West to the world.
I sold work, I sold dirt, I sold shirts, I sold hurt, son. Never sold my people out. Circle the ghetto, watching shorties take the easy route, wondering if the pain is part of the air we breathing out. And France finance wretched to the earth. Force that I sow in the youth are often true of myself, so please. I know we got mouths to feed, but best believe truth's out, set you free, and that's word.
Is it easy to fight the system or fight the power with the hip-hop?
Oh, it's not easy. Nothing is easy, but I think that if there's one very great tool that is a big uniter in terms of not just racial, but also social class, also religious differences. That's one good thing that music and culture brings, is a unifying force. We need a sense of identity, and I feel like that's what we've been missing for so long. The hope is that as the music that we keep creating gets wider, we can return home, and I think that's one thing about the Afropolitan dream versus the American dream. Yes. The American dream, you end up staying in America and you contribute to American society only. The Afropolitan dream, in my opinion, is taking what you've been able to build back home.
Is it the same way that you define the Afropolitan identity today? How do you define it?
I've been to a lot of different places and I've been able to pick up a lot of really great ideas and ideologies. And it's about taking all these things and bringing it back home. If you really think about a lot of the people who have changed Africa, from my first president, Kwame Nkrumah, to even musicians like Fela Kuti, they are the original Afropolitans, because when they left Africa is where their consciousness was awoken. See, it's very difficult when you're living in Africa because the situation is pressing. So you don't have the space and time for that to gather your thoughts that easily. But when you live outside a little bit, you have a little space. So your mind is able to work a little bit more flexibly, but you're also experiencing other people who have fought similar battles. So you can pick up all these things and you can return home. So Kwame Nkrumah coming home after living abroad, Fela coming to Nigeria after living in England, that's where the power was. And I think that that's what we need to start doing again as well.
Police call
corruption, you still election, brutality. My brothers look at option, that's why.
You don't forget where you come from. You don't forget where you come from. Charlie, make you sit, make you chat some. It's been a minute since me that you.
How do you define your music? It's a kind of mixed of, okay, yes. All your influences, métis. Métis?
Oui. It's a mixture, but it's the kind of mixture that it begins with African music at the core. And then everything else is just kind of a layer, because again, I believe that all music is an offshoot of African music. So it's not difficult for me to trace the thread between hip-hop, reggae, samba, soukous, Afrobeat. I feel like it's the same line. So for me, it's easy because all I'm doing is just taking pieces of the same fabric and just reweaving another idea. This is actually our time to take our core roots and all the music that we grew up on in Africa, from Manu Dibango, Mary Makeba,
Angelique Kidjo.
Yes, Angelique Kidjo, Morikante, you know, taking all that stuff and saying, all right, how do we interpret this today?
And maybe to say that roots are important.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you need your roots.
You need your roots.
Yes.
We can imagine always that you need to move from Africa.
Yes.
To succeed.
Yes.
So, isn't it a problem there?
Yes, there is a problem there. There's absolutely, I can't say that is the only way. But I should also point out that the internet has changed a lot. And when I was coming up as an artist, there wasn't MySpace, there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't Twitter. So if you were performing, the only people that heard or saw you were the people who were physically there. Now, it's not so necessary to leave Africa, because a lot of people can still see you on YouTube. Millions of people can hear you on Facebook or see your work on Facebook. And so I think that times have changed. And I think that we should take advantage of that.
We came, master on the boards, checkmate, crummy came. Came a long way from sketching my teachers in the class to being one of the leaders in the strap. Gotta admit it, homie, you need me. Tired of watching the same videos, throwing remote at your TV. Like, damn, what you gonna do when I let it go? Turn it up when you head a bang on the radio. Give it up, gotta be the flow so critical. Opposite of originally, you rhyme so pitiful. Slow down, Blitz, these kids is dyslexic.
What the link, between Neka, Oxmo, Puccino, Angelique Kidjo, Seun Kuti?
The core of all of these people is Africa. You know, we're all linked in telling. Some of us are speaking different languages, some in Portuguese, some in French, some in Arabic, but we're all speaking the same language, which is that, you know, our time is arriving. If it hasn't already arrived, then we are a part of this movement, a very important part of this movement. And someone like Angelique, she's a pioneer. She started this before, when we were all kids, in bringing an African aesthetic, you know, and I think that that's where we're really just building on that. So it was very important for me to have her on my album, because she added a legendary voice that we're all familiar with, and I think that's we all need the elders guiding where we're going, because they've been through this a long time ago.
So for you, definitely Africa is still the future.
Well, Africa is also now.
Yes.
I say that in the song, you know, even though the title is Africa is the future, I say there is no future unless we build it now. And I think that I'm only confident that Africa is the future because of what we're doing now. And it's happening now, and we're building some amazing connections around the world, and I think that it's Africa's time.
Skyscrapers, it's bound to blow your mind. Just launched another satellite flight into orbit. The African space program. It's so ironic how our currency's worth more than $1 or the euro. Without the foreign aid, unemployment near zero. We never practice capitalism or socialism. We got Africanism, and that is how we living. Not Anglophone or Francophone. We got our own. No more corporations exploiting us in our home. Time traveling, unraveling the truth.
So you, a citizen of the world, where are you living really?
The good thing about what I'm blessed to experience right now is that I'm really living up to my name, ambassador. You know, an ambassador is not necessarily in one place. You know, you move around, and you're supposed to make these bridges, really to make it easier, because we have a lot of talent in Africa who don't have the opportunity to come directly here and be known. And so what we're doing is building a big bridge where people in Paris and people in Sao Paulo and people in Malaysia can say, okay, I didn't know about African music, but now I do. And because now I know about it, I want to find out more from where it came from.
Evander Holyfield, guard your ears, Mike Tyson. Spitting at these lanes, watch them touch down in Africa, get snatched for their chains. Cause we bought your bootlegs and return it to the store like, I can't get jiggy with these. Where's the player hater that sold it? Meanwhile, I'm in Morocco, pen another classic for the mass.
Last question. A lot of artists are involved in politics.
Yes.
So you have the name Ambassador.
Yes.
If one day maybe in Accra they're calling you and say, hello Blitz, or come back home.
I already work for my people in terms of representing us globally. When it comes to politics in Africa specifically, well, I would say politics anywhere. I'm not a big fan of politics because I feel like politics divides
politics
us.
or politicians? Because it's
I think it's
different
both.
for you,
You know,
yes,
both politics
really.
and politicians, because I think that we're not. I believe more in culture, and I want to be a cultural ambassador for Ghana any day. I want to go home and I want to build cultural institutions that are going to enhance our lives. I think that what politicians do is divide us. What culturalists do is unite us. And I'm more of a uniter. And so my goal, going back to Africa, is to create cultural spaces. And I don't think I need to be a politician to do that.
To do that. Thank you.
Thank you
Blitz
very
the
much.
Ambassador.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Blitz the Ambassador.
Merci.
Pour ce moment passé ensemble. Bon concert.
Merci.
Et continuez à nous faire de la musique consciente.
Merci.
Conscious music.
Oui. That's it. Thank you.
À très bientôt. Retrouvez tous nos programmes sur le www.africa24tv.com. À très bientôt sur Africa 24.
State of mind, I introduce ya. Close your eyes and visualize the rise of a new paradigm. Solar powered skyscrapers, it's bound to blow your mind. Just launched another satellite flight into orbit. The African space.